So last week I asked you if you had any questions for me that you could ask on my vlogging channel, and I said that I would answer one of them a week on this channel. And so the question that I chose this week is from, let's see, Sumptrick. And the question is, so next year I am off to college. Was it difficult for you to leave home? Did you stay in a dorm your first year? If so, did you regret it or no? Who was your roommate? Was it someone from high school? If you didn't know them, how did it go? Was it weird living with someone you didn't know? So everyone's college experience is really different. I went to a really big state school, so I had a really classic, American college experience. And yes, I did stay in a dorm, and I did have a roommate. I'm not going to say her name to preserve her privacy, but she had a very interesting name like myself, and they post your names out in front of the doors, and so right away I'm like, I wonder if they put us together because we both have weird names. But for the purposes of this story, let's call her Desiree. So right off the bat, when I met Desiree, I could tell just by looking at her that we had really different interests. She dressed completely differently than I did. The way she decorated her half the room was completely different. The music she listened to was different. But I didn't care because, I had seen so many TV shows and movies where you meet your roommate and you become best friends, and I was ready to become her best friend. Unfortunately, as I got to know Desiree more, I was realizing just how different the two of us really were. For instance, the very next morning after the both of us stayed the night in the dorm, we had common bathrooms. Like, not every dorm had their own bathroom. Each floor had a shared bathroom with showers and stuff. And so I had heard Desiree singing in our room before, and she was telling me that she'd like to try out for American Idol, so I had a pretty good idea of what her voice sounded like. And I was coming back from an orientation class, and I was walking through the hall, and I could hear her singing really loudly, so I assumed she was singing in the shower. And when I got back, I'm like, okay, I'm going to say something nice to her, and I'm just going to win her over, and we're going to be best friends. So she came back into the room, and I was like, Desiree, I heard you singing in the shower. It was really beautiful. And she was like, what? And she was like really confused, and she's like, when was I in the shower? And I was like, I thought I heard you when I was coming down the hall. And she's like, oh no girl, I was just taking a She tried out for American Idol, so she missed the entire first week of classes, and then she would complain about never getting her work done. She tried to flush SpaghettiOs down our sink in our room, and it clogged the whole thing. It smelled like moldy SpaghettiOs for like a week. And she insisted that she could not fall asleep without listening to Chris Brown really loudly. I was really passive at the time, and I wasn't gonna ask her to turn it off, which is bad because you should totally communicate with your roommate, but I just wanted her to like me and be my friend. So I'm like, oh yeah, totally listen to Chris Brown as loud as you want. It doesn't bother me at all. And so I ended up getting earplugs so that I could sleep at night. And one day I was like, listen, Desiree, do you think you could get headphones? And she was like, I don't have any, I don't really feel like buying any. How about you let me use yours? And I considered it for 1 second, except that I had the earbud kind, and that would mean that she would be putting them in her ears, and then I would be putting them in my ears. Desiree also had the worst diet. She ate 2 Oreo pizzas. If you don't know what an Oreo pizza is, you should look it up. I believe it's from Domino's, but it's basically like a pizza that has Oreo toppings on it. And she would eat 2 of them for breakfast. And sometimes she would eat 15 chicken wings. And she would never drink water. And it was disgusting, and I didn't know what to do about it. I mean, it was none of my business, so I didn't say anything at first. But then she got really, really sick, and she didn't get out of bed for 2 weeks. She was in her dorm sleeping for 2 weeks. She would get up to the bathroom, and that was it. And then she would like complain about having what she called low blood, which I'm assuming low blood pressure, low blood sugar, I'm not really sure. But she would groan and say, oh, I have low blood, I have low blood. And I told her, I'm like, listen, Desiree, you need to drink water, and you need to eat vegetables once in a while. Like, you don't have to be perfect, but you literally aren't getting the vitamins and minerals you need if you don't eat vegetables, and if you only eat SpaghettiOs and Oreos and chicken wings. She was so unbelievably messy. There was pizza boxes piled up in our dorm, and when my mom came to visit me for like parents' weekend, she started crying when she saw my dorm because it smelled so bad and it looked so disgusting, and she couldn't believe she had left her child there. You're probably wondering, why is she telling me all of these horror stories? She's supposed to be telling me that college is great and I should be really excited and I have nothing to worry about. Well, the truth is, it's your first year, your freshman year, and especially your first semester, things kind of suck. But my point is that my biggest piece of advice to give you is to hang in there and to be optimistic about what is to come. Because if I had quit then, which I certainly wanted to, I really wanted to go home, like especially compared to how comfy my home was, and now I was in this strange place with a crazy roommate, I cried several nights and I wanted to go home every day. But I didn't, and my second semester was amazing. And I met all of my friends second semester, and I'm so happy I stuck with it. Everyone's college experience is different, I'm just preparing you. You may have a horrible first semester, but if it's a school you like and it's a major you want to do and it's in a city that you like, you have to stick it out and you have to be brave, because there are going to be nights where you cry and miss your family and hate your roommate, but I promise you better days are coming. Your first semester of freshman year, you haven't met anyone really yet, so I encourage you to focus on your studies and learn your way around the campus and just kind of get an idea of how you can get your work done, because second semester you're going to meet all your friends and you're not going to want to do your work as much and you're going to be going to more parties and you don't want to fall behind on your grades. So really take advantage of not having friends your first semester. Like I said, my very first most important piece of advice is be brave and stick it out, and I promise things will get better. You just have to be strong. My second piece of advice is absolutely live in dorms your freshman year. Like I said, they were pretty horrible conditions and I hated my roommate, but I met all of my friends through living in a dorm because we had common areas and we would have like movie nights and things like that, and that's where I met all my friends freshman year. And if you're secluded somewhere by yourself, like it's really difficult to meet people. In class, you're not really being social. Dorms are the most social place and the best place to meet people. And honestly, if I didn't have such a crazy roommate, I would have a lot less to talk about to these new friends I was making. It was like a great conversation starter. We're all going through the same thing. Most of us have horrible roommates, and it's not really that they're horrible, it's just that you guys have nothing in common, and suddenly you're living in a 10 by 10 room. And maybe you had your own room when you were in high school, and now you have to share everything. You're away from home for the first time, you have all of these new responsibilities, and life seems really crazy. But you have to realize that every other freshman is going through the same thing. So don't be afraid to talk to people about it. My third piece of advice would be to make sure you live a balanced lifestyle while you're at college. And by that I mean make sure that you're studying, but also make sure that you're being social and meeting people. I know a lot of people that partied way too hard in college because it was their first, real freedom, and they went kind of crazy, and you end up getting really bad grades and you get kicked out, you drop out, and it becomes really stressful and you have to do all this over again. Pace yourself. Go out and meet people as much as you can, but also do your studying, make sure you get your work done, finish your work, do your homework when you get home, get it done, and then go out and have fun with your friends. This is a great place to meet people and to grow and to learn about yourself, and it's also a perfect time to get your studies out of the way. You don't want to be in college for, like 10 years unless you're trying to be a doctor or something, but you want to get it done in 4 years so that you can go out and live your life and get even more freedom. And then my last piece of advice would just be to be active in making friends. Like, don't just wait for people to come to you. Go out and meet people, invite people over, offer to give people a ride. Other freshmen are going to be just as nervous as you about making friends, so they're going to be happy to meet somebody nice. And just make an effort to talk to people about stuff. Bring up your classes, bring up your crazy roommate. Make friends. Like some of my closest friends I made in college. So be active about making friends and be active about getting the best experience possible. You are the one who makes your college experience. Especially if you're going to a really large school, everyone's going to have a different experience and you're in charge of that. So take advantage of all the opportunities. Study abroad if you like that. Join a club. Take classes that are interesting to you, things that weren't offered to you in high school. You're paying for all of this, and if you're not paying for it now, if you're like me, I'm paying my student loans now, I'm paying for it afterward. So get your money's worth out of all of this. This is a gift to you that you got in and that you get to experience this. Make friends, study, do your work, and don't panic, because it is not going to be wonderful the moment you get there. It is up to you to make your experience as good as possible. So hang in there if your roommate is crazy. You will make it through, I promise. We all went through the same thing and somehow we made it out, well on the other end. So I hope this is helpful for any of you who've just started college or maybe are starting next year. If you have any more specific questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section below. Ask me more questions on my vlogging channel and I will come back here on Tuesday and answer them for you. Have a great day and I will see you next week.